Jiwoo stood in the hospital room, staring at her sister's leg wrapped in medical foam and metal braces. Hana lay on the bed, her face pale and streaked with tears. The accident had happened so fast. One moment Hana was climbing the research cliff to study ancient ice samples. The next she was falling 20 meters onto jagged rocks. "You have to go instead of me," Hana whispered, gripping Jiwoo's hand with desperate strength. Jiwoo pulled her hand away and walked to the window. Outside, the Seoul skyline glittered with evening lights. Somewhere up there, beyond the atmosphere, the Galactic ship waited. "That's crazy. I can't pretend to be you. I fix machines. I don't know anything about alien languages. You're smart. You learn fast." Hana tried to sit up but winced in pain. "The doctor said I need 4 months of recovery." 4 months. The ship leaves in 3 days. Then you miss it. There will be other chances. No. Hana's voice cracked. This was a once-in-a-lifetime lottery. "Do you know how many people applied?" 12 million. 12 million people wanted this spot and I won. Me. And now I can't go because I was stupid enough to slip on wet rocks. Jiwoo turned back to her sister. They looked similar enough. Same dark hair, same height, same narrow shoulders. But that was where the similarities ended. Hana had spent her whole life studying alien cultures and languages. She had 3 university degrees. She could speak 6 Earth languages fluently. Jiwoo had barely finished technical school before going to work in the underground solar farms, crawling through tight maintenance tunnels and fixing broken panels. "They'll know I'm not you the second I open my mouth," Jiwoo said. Hana reached for the tablet on her bedside table. "I've been preparing for this my whole life. I have all my research, all my notes, all my study materials. I'll teach you everything I can in 3 days. You just need to get through the first few weeks. Tell them you're nervous. Tell them you need time to adjust. Most of the real work doesn't start until month 2. This is identity fraud. This is my dream." Hana's eyes filled with fresh tears. "Please, Jiwoo. You're the only person in the universe I can ask. We're sisters. We're family." Jiwoo looked at her sister's broken body, at the desperation in her eyes. She thought about her own life. The endless dark tunnels beneath the earth. The monotonous routine of checking circuits and replacing burnt wires. She thought about the stars she never saw because she worked underground. "Fine," she said quietly. "I'll do it." The next 3 days passed in a blur of information. Hana spoke constantly, even through her pain medication, cramming Jiwoo's head with facts about alien species, proper greeting protocols, basic phrases in 12 different alien languages. Jiwoo's small apartment became a study center. Every wall covered with notes and pictures. "The Quellans have 4 arms and their skin changes color with their emotions," Hana explained, showing Jiwoo a holographic image. "Blue means calm, red means angry, orange means happy or friendly. Never stare directly at all 3 of their eyes at once. It's considered aggressive." Jiwoo tried to memorize everything, but her brain felt full. She was better with her hands than her memory. Give her a broken engine and she could fix it. Give her a book of alien grammar rules and she felt lost. On the morning of departure, they went through the final preparations. Jiwoo cut her hair to match Hana's exact style. She practiced Hana's signature over and over until it looked natural. She memorized Hana's biographical details, her favorite foods, her childhood stories, everything that might come up in casual conversation. "Remember," Hana said as they stood at the door, "you're supposed to be studying comparative xenolinguistics. That's the analysis of how different species' languages affect their thinking patterns. If anyone asks technical questions, just say you're more interested in the practical applications than the theory." What does that even mean? It means you prefer learning by doing rather than reading. Which is actually true for you. Hana hugged her sister carefully, mindful of her injured leg. "Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll be watching every transmission from the ship. I'll send you notes and advice whenever I can." Jiwoo picked up the small travel case that contained everything she was allowed to bring. "What if they catch me? Then we'll both be in trouble." "But they won't catch you. You're smarter than you think." The shuttle ride to the orbital platform took 2 hours. Jiwoo sat among 30 other lottery winners, all of them chattering excitedly about the year ahead. She stayed quiet, pretending to read Hana's research notes on her tablet, but actually just staring at the words without understanding them. The orbital platform was massive, a spinning wheel of metal and glass hanging in the black void of space. Through the windows, Jiwoo could see the Galactic ship docked at the far end. It was enormous, easily 10 times larger than any Earth vessel. Its hull was covered in strange patterns that seemed to shift and change as she watched. "First time seeing a quantum hull?" asked the man sitting next to her. He was young, maybe her age, with friendly eyes and a nervous smile. "I'm Tae-young, xenobiology researcher." "Hana," Jiwoo said, using her sister's name for the first time. It felt strange in her mouth. "Xenolinguistics. Oh, that's wonderful. I'll probably need your help translating plant samples." He laughed. "I'm mostly excited to study the nebulites. They're partially gaseous. Can you imagine? A species that's half gas, half solid matter. Their botany must be incredible." Jiwoo nodded and smiled, having no idea what he was talking about. The boarding process took another hour. Officials checked their documents, scanned their biometrics, and gave them orientation packets full of rules and emergency procedures. Jiwoo's heart pounded every time someone looked at her ID card, certain they would see through the deception. But each time they simply nodded and waved her through. The ship's interior was like nothing she had ever seen. The corridors curved in impossible ways, following alien geometry that hurt her eyes if she looked too long. The gravity felt slightly wrong, just enough to make her steps feel bouncy and strange. The air smelled different too, carrying scents she couldn't identify. A tall creature with 6 legs and silvery skin approached her. "Hana Kim?" it asked in surprisingly clear English. "Yes, that's me. I am Ven, your assigned roommate. I am Quellen. I will guide you to our shared quarters." His skin was currently a neutral gray color. 2 of his 4 hands carried her travel case, while the other 2 gestured as he spoke. They walked through several corridors, passing dozens of alien species. Jiwoo tried not to stare, but it was impossible. There were creatures with scales, creatures with feathers, creatures that floated instead of walked, creatures that seemed to be made of pure light. Their room was small but functional, with 2 sleeping platforms, 2 work desks, and a shared bathroom that had controls Jiwoo didn't understand. Ven's side of the room was already decorated with complex tools and machines. "You are engineer?" Jiwoo asked, then immediately regretted showing interest. Hana wouldn't care about engineering tools. Ven's skin flickered briefly to a pale blue. "Yes, I repair ship systems." "You study languages, correct? Your application said you specialized in grammatical structure analysis." "Yes, languages." Jiwoo set her case on her sleeping platform and looked around the room. That would be her home for the next year. Ven's. 3 eyes studied her carefully. His skin shifted to a curious purple color. "You seem different than your application profile suggested. More practical, less theoretical." Jiwoo's stomach dropped. It had been less than 5 minutes and already someone suspected. She forced herself to smile. "I'm just nervous. New place, new species, new everything. I'm sure I'll settle in soon." Ven's skin returned to neutral gray. "Of course. We all adjust at different speeds. Welcome to Harmony's Edge, Hana Kim." Jiwoo unpacked her few belongings, her hands shaking slightly. 3 days ago she was crawling through solar farm tunnels. Now she was in space, pretending to be someone she wasn't, surrounded by aliens who might discover her secret at any moment. She touched the small communicator in her pocket, the one linked directly to Hana back on Earth. She wanted to call her sister and say this was a mistake, but she had made a promise. She would see it through at least for a little while. Outside the small window, Earth hung in the distance, blue and white and beautiful. Jiwoo watched it for a long moment, wondering if she would ever see it again, and wondering if the girl looking back at her in the window's reflection was still herself or was already becoming someone else entirely. The first week aboard Harmony's Edge was the hardest week of Jiwoo's life. Every morning she woke up in the strange room with its curved walls and odd gravity, and for a few seconds she forgot where she was. Then she would see Ven sleeping on his platform, his forearms tucked against his body, his skin a peaceful dark blue, and reality would crash back down on her. She attended the mandatory orientation sessions where a tall creature named Captain Morith explained the ship's rules and emergency procedures. The captain had 6 limbs and moved like water flowing uphill. When she spoke, 3 different voices came out at once, harmonizing in a way that made Jiwoo's teeth hurt. "This ship contains 2,000 souls from 47 worlds," Captain Morith said. "You will respect all species. You will honor all customs. You will remember that you are guests in a much larger universe than your home planet." The other human lottery winners sat together in the orientation hall. Jiwoo counted 23 Earth people total, scattered among hundreds of aliens of every size and shape. Taeyang sat next to her, still friendly and talkative. I heard the Nebulites don't sleep, he whispered. They just sort of dim down for a few hours. Isn't that fascinating? Jiwoo nodded, though she was more interested in the ship's mechanical systems visible through the transparent ceiling panels. She could see power conduits running along the walls glowing with energy in colors that didn't exist on Earth. Some of them flickered irregularly. That wasn't good. Flickering power meant loose connections or failing regulators. After orientation, everyone was assigned to their work details. The year-long exchange wasn't a vacation. Every passenger had duties based on their supposed expertise. Jiwoo's assignment made her stomach drop. Hana Kim, Xenolinguistics, read the digital assignment board. Report to Translation Center, Level 7, Section Blue. You will assist with communication protocols between species with incompatible language structures. She had no idea what that meant. She found the translation center after getting lost twice in the ship's confusing corridors. Inside, 3 aliens sat at desks covered with floating holographic symbols. One of them looked up when Jiwoo entered. You are the new human translator? The alien had crystalline skin that refracted light into rainbows. Yes, I'm Hana. I am brightness through sorrow. You may call me Bright. We need help with the Drexel species. Their language has 17 different tenses but only 3 words for emotions. Very confusing for other species. Jiwoo stared at the holographic symbols floating above Bright's desk. They meant nothing to her. I need time to review the materials first. I work better with practical applications. Bright's crystalline face tilted. That is unusual for a linguist. Most prefer theoretical analysis before practical work. I learn differently. Jiwoo remembered Hana's advice. Can I take these materials to study in my quarters? Of course, but we will need your analysis by next week. Jiwoo gathered the files onto a data chip and escaped before Bright could ask more questions. Back in her room, she immediately called Hana through the encrypted communication link. Her sister's face appeared on the small screen, still pale but smiling. How is it? Tell me everything. It's terrible. They want me to analyze alien grammar structures. I don't even understand human grammar structures. Jiwoo paced the small room. I'm going to get caught. Maybe I should just confess now before it gets worse. No. Listen to me. Hana's face became serious. You can do this. Look at the files they gave you. Most of it is just pattern recognition. You do pattern recognition every day when you fix machines. Circuits, languages, they're all just systems with rules. Circuits make sense. Languages don't. They do if you stop being scared. I'll help you through the analysis. Send me the files and I'll write up the report. You just need to present it. They spent the next hour going through the Drexel language materials. Hana was right in a way. There were patterns, but seeing patterns and understanding them were different things. Over the next few days, Jiwoo developed a survival routine. She attended her work sessions at the translation center, but mostly stayed quiet, nodding and taking notes while others talked. She spent her evenings studying Hana's materials and calling her sister for help with the difficult questions. She avoided social gatherings where people might ask detailed questions about her expertise. But avoiding Ven was impossible. They shared a room. He was always there, working on his engineering projects, his tools spread across his desk. Jiwoo found herself watching him work, fascinated by the alien technology he repaired. One evening, Ven was struggling with a small device that sparked and smoked. He tried different tools, but nothing worked. His skin cycled through frustrated red and angry purple colors. Jiwoo watched for a few minutes, then couldn't help herself. The power coupling is backwards. Ven looked up, all 3 eyes focusing on her. What? The power coupling. You have the positive and negative reversed. That's why it's sparking. She pointed at the device. See? The blue wire goes to the left terminal, not the right. Ven stared at her, then at the device. He switched the wires. The device hummed to life, glowing steadily. His skin shifted to surprised orange. You are correct. How did you know this? Jiwoo realized her mistake too late. I just noticed the pattern. The colors seemed wrong. You have engineering knowledge. A little. I mean, everyone knows basic repairs, right? No. Most linguists do not notice power coupling orientations. Ven's 3 eyes studied her carefully. You are very unusual, Hana Kim. From that day forward, Ven watched her more closely. Jiwoo tried to be more careful, but it was hard. The ship had so many small mechanical problems that nobody else seemed to notice. Loose panels in the corridors, flickering lights, strange sounds in the ventilation system. Her hands itched to fix things. She became friends with Tai Yang, who worked in the biological research section. He was easy to talk to and didn't ask complicated questions about linguistics. They ate meals together in the communal dining area, where species from dozens of worlds gathered to share food and stories. "I met a nebulite today," Tai Yang said excitedly during one meal. "Her name is Kess. She's incredible. She communicates by changing the colors of her gaseous body. Different colors for different concepts. It's like she's speaking in living art." Jiwoo picked at her food, which was supposed to be safe for human digestion but tasted like plastic and regret. "That sounds interesting. You don't sound very excited." "Sorry, I'm just tired. The translation work is harder than I expected." Tai Yang leaned closer and lowered his voice. "Can I tell you something?" "I don't think you're really a linguist." Jiwoo's heart stopped. "What? I've watched you. You never use technical terms. You avoid theoretical discussions. And yesterday I saw you fix a broken food dispenser in about 30 seconds. Nobody with pure academic training moves their hands like that." He smiled. "But don't worry. I don't care. Obviously you have your reasons for being here. I'm just saying, if you ever need help maintaining your cover, let me know." Jiwoo stared at him. "Why would you help me?" "Because you helped me yesterday when I couldn't figure out how to use the shower controls. And because I think the lottery system is stupid anyway. They should judge people by what they can do, not by what degrees they have." He stood up with his tray. "Think about it. I'm in Section Green, Room 42 if you need anything." That night, Jiwoo couldn't sleep. 2 people already suspected her secret? How long before others figured it out? How long before someone reported her? She got up and walked through the quiet corridors. Most species were sleeping or resting in their quarters. The ship felt different at night, more peaceful but also more alien. The walls hummed with power. The air recyclers whispered. Everything was alive in a way Earth buildings never were. She found herself in one of the observation decks, a large room with transparent walls showing the stars outside. A floating form drifted near the window. As Jiwoo got closer, she realized it was a nebulite, the gaseous species Tai Yang had mentioned. The creature turned toward her, its body shifting from pale blue to warm yellow. Patterns of light moved through its form like words written in fire. "I'm sorry," Jiwoo said. "I don't understand light language." The nebulite drifted to a communication panel on the wall and touched it with a tendril of gas. A mechanical voice spoke. "I am Kess, you are troubled. How can you tell?" "Your body language. Humans are very expressive even when they try to hide emotions." The lights in Kess's form swirled gently. "I will not ask your troubles, but I will say this. The galaxy is large and truth takes many forms. Sometimes the truth of action is more important than the truth of words." Jiwoo didn't know what that meant, but it made her feel slightly better. They stood together in silence, watching the stars. 2 very different creatures from 2 very different worlds, sharing a moment of peace in the endless dark. When Jiwoo returned to her quarters, Fen was still awake, working at his desk. "Can I ask you something?" Jiwoo said. "Of course. Why did you defend me earlier? When I fixed your device, you could have reported that something was wrong with my profile." Ven's skin shifted to thoughtful purple. "Because you were helpful. Because you saw a problem and fixed it without being asked. That is a valuable." The alarm woke Jiwoo from deep sleep. It wasn't a gentle sound. It was a screaming, pulsing noise that made her bones vibrate. Red lights flashed throughout the room. Fen was already up, his skin flickering between panicked yellow and alarmed red. "Emergency," he said, pulling on his work vest. "Environmental system failure. Level 4, human quarter." Jiwoo jumped from her sleeping platform and grabbed her clothes. "What kind of failure?" "Unknown. All residents must evacuate to safe zones." Ven was heading for the door when he stopped and looked back. "Are you coming?" "Yes, go ahead. I'll catch up." But Jiwoo didn't go to the safe zones. She went the opposite direction, toward the human quarter. The corridors were full of confused aliens, all moving away from the danger zone. She pushed through them, ignoring their strange looks. The human quarter was on level 4, Section Gold. It housed all 23 Earth people, along with their alien roommates. When Jiwoo arrived, she found dozens of people gathered outside the sealed doors. Human faces pressed against the transparent barriers, frightened and confused. Captain Moreth stood in the center of the crowd, her 6 limbs gesturing at a holographic display. Her 3 voices spoke in overlapping harmony. The environmental controls have failed. Oxygen levels are dropping. Temperature is rising. We are working to resolve the situation. How long do we have? Someone shouted. 18 hours before conditions become fatal. The crowd erupted in panic. Jiwoo pushed closer, studying the holographic display over the captain's shoulder. It showed a complex system diagram with multiple failing components highlighted in red. She recognized the pattern immediately. It was a cascade failure, where one broken part caused stress on connected parts, which then failed and caused more stress elsewhere. The problem isn't in the environmental controls, Jiwoo said loudly. Everyone turned to look at her. Captain Morith's 3 faces focused on Jiwoo with an intensity that made her want to disappear. Explain, the captain said. The environmental system is failing because the power distribution is unstable. Look, Jiwoo pointed at the display. These 3 nodes are all on the same circuit. When one drew too much power, it created feedback that damaged the others. Now they're all failing together. And you determined this how? Captain Moreth's voices carried suspicion. I can see the pattern. It's like a language structure but with electricity instead of words. Jiwoo knew how stupid that sounded. A large alien with scales and 6 eyes pushed forward. This human is supposed to be a linguist. Why would we trust her engineering analysis? Because she's right, said a familiar voice. Ven emerged from the crowd, his skin a determined orange. I reviewed the same data. Her analysis is correct. The root cause is power distribution, not environmental control. Captain Morith studied them both. Even if this is true, our engineering team has been unable to locate the source of the power failure. The system is a hybrid design, combining technologies from multiple species to accommodate human needs. No single species fully understands it. I can find it, Jiwoo said. The words came out before she could stop them. You are a translator. I'm a mechanic. Jiwoo took a deep breath. My name is Jiwoo Kim. I'm not Hana. I took my sister's place because she was injured. I've been lying since I arrived, but I'm really good at fixing things and I can solve this problem if you let me try. The silence that followed was terrible. Captain Morith's 3 faces showed no emotion. The crowd stared. Taeyang looked surprised but not shocked. Ven's skin had shifted to a calm blue, almost as if he'd been expecting this confession. This is identity. Fraud, someone in the crowd said. This is a galactic crime, added another voice. Captain. Morith raised one of her 6 limbs for silence. The legal implications can be addressed later. Right now, 200 beings will die in 18 hours if we do not fix this problem. Jiwoo Kim, you claim you can help? Yes. Then you will work with our engineering team. If you fail, you will face prosecution. If you succeed, you will still face prosecution. But I will speak on your behalf. The captain turned to Ven. You will assist her and ensure she does not sabotage anything further. I trust her, Ven said simply. The captain led them deep into the ship's maintenance areas, places that regular passengers never saw. The engineering core was a massive room filled with conduits, processors, and machines that looked like they came from a dozen different worlds. 3 aliens worked at various stations, their frustrated expressions universal across species. Show her the problem, Captain Morith commanded. One of the engineers, a floating creature made of rings of light, gestured at a holographic schematic. The power grid is destabilizing. We have isolated the failing section, but we cannot determine why it began or how to stop it. Every solution we attempt makes it worse. Jiwoo studied the schematic, walking around it to see from different angles. She recognized some components from Earth technology. Others were completely alien, but the principles were the same everywhere. Electricity flowed from sources to destinations. Too much flow created heat. Too little flow created failure. There, she said, pointing at a junction point. That's where 3 different power systems meet. Human, Quellan, and Vraxian. They're not properly balanced. The human system uses alternating current. The Quellan system uses phased pulses. The Vraxian system uses steady-state flow. They're fighting each other. We know this, the ring creature said with obvious irritation. We designed the junction to handle all 3 types. It has worked perfectly for 2 years. But something changed recently. Jiwoo circled the schematic again. When was the last major repair or upgrade? The engineers looked at each other. Finally, one of them spoke. 6 days ago. We installed a new processing unit in the human quarter to handle increased data traffic. Show me the specifications. They pulled up the new unit's details. Jiwoo scanned through the information, and there it was. This processor has a different power draw cycle than the old one. It pulses at a frequency that interferes with the Quellan system's phase rhythm. Over 6 days, that interference degraded the junction's balancing circuits. Now everything is falling apart. Can it be fixed? Captain Morith asked. Yes, but not with standard repairs. We need to create a buffer system that can smooth out the interference. Jiwoo turned to Ven. Do you have access to adaptive harmonizers? Yes, in my personal toolkit. Get them. We'll need at least 6. She turned to the other engineers. I need someone who understands Vraxian steady-state systems. We'll have to recalibrate the entire junction. For the next 12 hours, Jiwoo worked without stopping. She coordinated between the alien engineers, translating not between languages but between technological philosophies. The Quellan engineer thought in terms of rhythm and flow. The Vraxian engineer thought in terms of stability and permanence. The Nebulite engineer thought in terms of transformation and change. Jiwoo understood all of them because she'd spent her life working with hybrid systems. Earth technology was built on borrowed concepts from dozens of cultures. She knew how to make incompatible systems work together because that was what humans did best. They adapted. They improvised. They found solutions in the spaces between established rules. Ven worked beside her, his 4 hands moving in perfect coordination with her too. He anticipated what she needed before she asked. When she struggled to reach a difficult connection point, he lifted her effortlessly. When she needed a tool modified, he adapted it in seconds. You are very good at this, he said as they rewired a critical junction box. So are you. I have done this for 30 years. You are half my age and work twice as fast. His skin showed admiring orange. Humans are strange creatures. You seem weak and small, but you have remarkable adaptability. We have to be adaptable. We're new to the galaxy. Everyone else has been traveling the stars for thousands of years. We're still figuring things out. Perhaps that is your advantage. You have not learned the limitations yet. With 2 hours remaining, they installed the final buffer system. Jiwoo held her breath as she activated the new configuration. The holographic displays flickered, showing unstable readings. Then slowly, carefully, the numbers began to stabilize. Power flow balanced. Temperature readings normalized. Oxygen levels in the human quarter started rising. The alien engineers made sounds of relief in their various languages. Captain Morith observed from the doorway, her 3 faces unreadable. It's working, Jiwoo said. The buffer system is absorbing the frequency conflicts and redistributing power smoothly. The human quarter should be safe in about 30 minutes. Remarkable, Captain Morith said. You solved in 12 hours what our trained team could not solve in 18. I had help. Ven did half the work. Jiwoo's exhaustion hit her all at once. She sat down on the floor, her hands shaking from fatigue. Nevertheless, the captain moved closer, looming over Jiwoo with her 6 limbs. You committed fraud to board this ship. You deceived the Galactic Council and endangered the integrity of the cultural exchange program. These are serious crimes, I know. However, you also saved 200 lives today. You demonstrated skills that our official engineering team lacked. This creates a complicated situation. Captain Morith gestured to 2 security officers Jiwoo hadn't noticed before. The council chamber was a circular room with seats arranged in rising tiers, designed to accommodate 47 different species. Jiwoo stood in the center, feeling very small and very human. Above her, hundreds of alien faces looked down in judgment. Some were familiar from her time on the ship. Most were strangers, council members who had joined via quantum communication from distant worlds. Captain Morith presided over the hearing, her 3 voices echoing through the chamber. Jiwoo Kim, you stand accused of identity fraud, falsification of documents, and deception of the Galactic Council. How do you plead? Guilty, Jiwoo said. There was no point lying now. A murmur ran through the assembled aliens, sounding like wind through trees made of strange materials. One council member, a creature covered in chitinous plates, leaned forward. You admit your crime freely? Yes, I took my sister's place because she was injured. I knew it was wrong, but I did it anyway. And you expect mercy because you saved lives during the environmental crisis? The chitinous alien's tone was harsh. No, I don't expect mercy. I expect consequences. But I hope you'll understand why I did it. Another council member, this one a floating jellyfish-like creature, spoke in a musical voice. Explain your reasoning, human. Jiwoo took a deep breath. My sister Hana spent her whole life preparing for this opportunity. She learned languages, studied cultures, earned degrees. When she won the lottery, it was her dream coming true. Then she had an accident, a stupid accident that broke her leg and destroyed everything she'd worked for. She paused, gathering her thoughts. I'm not smart like her. I fix machines in dark tunnels. Nobody would choose me for a cultural exchange. But I could help her. I could give her this one thing, even if it meant lying. So I did. Your motivation does not excuse your crime, said a lizard-like being with golden scales. I know, but my crime led to something unexpected. I discovered that I'm actually useful here. Not as a linguist, but as someone who can fix things. Someone who sees problems differently than your trained engineers. Jiwoo looked around the chamber, meeting alien eyes of every color and shape. The lottery system chose my sister because of her education. But education isn't the same as ability. Sometimes the person with the degrees isn't the person you actually need. Are you suggesting the entire exchange program is flawed? The chitinous alien sounded offended. I'm suggesting it's incomplete. You're picking people based on their papers and their academic achievements. But humanity's strength isn't just in our scholars. It's in our workers, our builders, our people who get their hands dirty solving practical problems. A new voice spoke from the upper tiers, deep and resonating. The human makes an interesting point. Jiwoo looked up and saw a massive creature with crystalline skin and multiple limbs. I am Council Member Thex. I have reviewed the reports from the environmental crisis. Jiwoo Kim solved a problem that stumped our trained engineering team. She coordinated between multiple species with different technological philosophies. She worked for 12 hours without rest. These are not the actions of an unskilled fraud. They are the actions of a criminal who got lucky, another voice argued. Perhaps we have been selecting humans incorrectly. Thex's crystalline body refracted light as she moved. I propose we hear testimony from those who witnessed Jiwoo Kim's actions. Captain Morath nodded. Testimony will be heard. First witness, step forward. Ven walked to the center of the chamber, his skin a calm blue. He had dressed formally, wearing decorative bands around his forearms. I am Ven Quellen, engineer. I was Jiwoo Kim's roommate and colleague during the crisis. Tell us what you observed, Thex said. I observed a human who pretended to be something she was not, yes. But I also observed someone who could not help revealing her true nature. She saw broken machines and wanted to fix them. She noticed failing systems that others missed. When crisis came, she did not hesitate. She acted while others debated. Ven's three eyes focused on Jiwoo with obvious affection. In my culture, we value truth in action more than truth in words. Jiwoo Kim's actions were truthful, even when her words were not. Thank you, Captain Morath said. Next witness, Tae-Yang stepped forward, nervous but determined. I'm Tae-Yang Park, human biologist. I suspected Jiwoo wasn't really a linguist within the first week. She never used academic language. She was more interested in how things worked than why they worked. But she was also kind. She helped me figure out the alien technology when I was confused. She shared her food when I hated the ship's rations. She was a good person regardless of what her papers said. One by one, witnesses came forward. Kes, the nebulite, communicated through light patterns translated by a machine. This human understands that truth takes many forms. Her presence on this ship was meant to be regardless of how she arrived. Even some of the alien engineers testified, grudgingly admitting that Jiwoo's unconventional approach had taught them new ways of thinking about hybrid systems. But not everyone spoke in her favor. A human man Jiwoo recognized from the lottery group stood and pointed at her. I waited years to get chosen. I followed all the rules. And you're saying it's okay that she cheated? That's not fair to those of us who did things the right way. You're right, Jiwoo said. It's not fair. I'm sorry. The man seemed taken aback by her apology. He sat down without saying more. The testimony lasted hours. Jiwoo's legs ached from standing. Finally, Captain Morath called for a recess while the council deliberated. Security officers escorted Jiwoo to a small waiting room. Ven followed. That went better than expected. They're still going to punish me, probably. But punishment takes many forms. He sat beside her, his skin shifting to thoughtful purple. I have been thinking. If you are sent back to Earth, that would be a waste of talent. But if the council creates a new position for you, one that acknowledges your actual skills that would benefit everyone. They won't do that. It would make them look foolish for not recognizing practical skills in the first place. Perhaps. Or perhaps they are wise enough to admit their system needs improvement. An hour later, they were called back to the chamber. The council members had arranged themselves in a specific pattern that Jiwoo didn't understand, but Ven apparently did, because his skin flashed hopeful orange. Council member Thex spoke. "We have reached a decision. Jiwoo Kim, your actions constitute fraud under Galactic law. However, we recognize that your crime revealed a significant flaw in the cultural exchange program. We have been selecting humans based solely on academic credentials, overlooking practical expertise that has proven extremely valuable." Jiwoo's heart pounded. She couldn't tell if this was good or bad. "Therefore, we offer you a choice," Thex continued. "Option 1. You may return to Earth immediately with no further charges. Your record will show only that you voluntarily withdrew from the program. Option 2. You may stay aboard Harmony's Edge under a new designation. You will work as an assistant engineer, training under Ven and other species to learn cross-cultural maintenance and repair. Your year of service will be extended to 18 months to compensate for the deception period. At the end, if your performance is satisfactory, Earth will gain expanded access to the cultural exchange program, including slots for technical workers." "What happens to my sister?" Jiwoo asked. "Your sister Hana will be offered her own slot on a future ship if she wishes. Her application was legitimate and impressive. She deserves her chance." Jiwoo looked at Ven, who gave her an encouraging nod. She thought about going back to Earth, back to the underground tunnels and the darkness and the routine. Then she thought about the stars outside the ship's windows. She thought about the strange and wonderful aliens she'd met. She thought about the feeling of fixing something broken and making it work again. "I'll stay," she said. The chamber erupted in sound. Some species cheered in their own ways. Others made disapproving noises. Captain Morith raised a limb for silence. "Then it is decided. Jiwoo Kim will remain aboard as a technical exchange participant. This hearing is concluded." The captain's 3 voices carried a note of satisfaction. "I will add one personal observation. Jiwoo Kim, you risked everything to give your sister her dream. That level of loyalty is rare. But you also discovered your own value in the process. Perhaps that was the real purpose of your journey." As Jiwoo left the chamber, several aliens approached to congratulate her or simply touch her shoulder in whatever gesture their species used for support. Tae Yang hugged her. "You're staying. That's wonderful. I can't believe they're letting me stay." "Why not? You proved you belong here." He grinned. "Though I have to ask, what's your actual education level?" "You never said." "I finished technical school, barely. I was more interested in hands-on work than studying, and you just successfully negotiated with the Galactic Council and restructured an entire exchange program. Humans are terrifying." That night, Jiwoo called Hana through their encrypted link. Her sister appeared on the screen, tears already streaming down her face. "I watched the whole hearing," Hana said. "I'm so proud of you. And so sorry you had to go through that because of me." "Don't be sorry. You were right. I am smarter than I thought, Jiwoo." 3 months passed quickly aboard Harmony's Edge. Jiwoo settled into her new role as technical exchange participant. Every morning she worked with Ven in the engineering section, learning how different species approach the same problems in completely different ways. Every afternoon she studied with alien engineers, teaching them human improvisation techniques while they taught her their methodical systems. She was happy. More than happy. For the first time in her life, she felt like she was doing something important. Then the alarm started again. It was during a routine shift. Jiwoo was helping a Vraxian engineer recalibrate the water recycling system when red lights began flashing throughout the ship. But this time the alarm pattern was different. Not an emergency, an attack. Captain Moreth's 3 voices echoed through the communication system. "All crew to defensive positions. We are experiencing systematic sabotage. Multiple ship systems are failing simultaneously." Jiwoo and the Vraxian engineer rushed to the main engineering core. The holographic displays showed chaos. Navigation offline. Communication systems failing. Life support flickering in 6 different sections. It was too organized to be an accident. Ven was already there, his skin flashing panicked yellow and red. "Someone is deliberately destroying ship systems, but the security sensors show no intruders." Then it's someone already aboard, Jiwoo said. Someone with access to critical systems. Captain Mareth arrived with her security team. We are investigating all personnel. In the meantime, we must stabilize life support. Engineering teams begin emergency repairs. But as the teams spread out to address different problems, each repair seemed to create new failures elsewhere. It was a cascade effect, but intentionally designed. Whoever was doing this understood the ship's systems intimately. Jiwoo studied the pattern of failures. This feels familiar. Like the environmental crisis, but more deliberate. Someone is exploiting the connection points between different species' technologies. Why would anyone sabotage their own ship? Ven asked. Politics. Captain Moreth's voices were grim. There has been a faction within the Council who opposed human inclusion from the beginning. They claimed humans were too primitive, too dangerous. Perhaps they decided to prove their point by stranding us here. If the navigation is destroyed, we'll drift in empty space, one of the engineers said. We could be lost for years. Jiwoo felt something cold in her stomach. This was because of her. Because she'd proven that humans could be valuable. Now someone was trying to undo that by making it look like human involvement had brought disaster. How many systems are failing? Jiwoo asked. 7 major systems. 3 already offline. 4 more critical within hours. That's too many for separate teams to handle. We need a different approach. Jiwoo turned to Captain Moreth. I have an idea, but it's going to sound insane. We are in desperate circumstances. Insane ideas are welcome. Kes told me once that nebulites can share consciousness across distances. What if we could use that ability to connect all the engineering teams? Let us work as one mind, seeing all the problems at once? The chamber went silent. Finally, a small voice spoke from the corner. That would be dangerous. It was Kes herself, her gaseous form swirling with anxious gray colors. The consciousness connection is sacred to my people. We do not share it lightly with other species. I'm not asking lightly. Jiwoo walked toward Kes. But if we don't stop this sabotage, we're all going to die out here. And whoever did this will use it as proof that humans don't belong in the galactic community. Kes's form shifted through several colors, thinking, the process would require trust. Complete trust. Your minds would be open to each other. Secrets would be revealed. Fears would be visible. Not all species can handle such intimacy. I'll go first, Jiwoo said immediately. If it's safe for me, others might follow. Jiwoo, no, Ven said, his skin flashing worried purple. We don't know what this will do to a human mind, I know. But I'm the reason we're in this situation. If my presence on this ship caused this crisis, then I need to be part of fixing it. Captain Mareth considered for a long moment. I will participate as well. If the human can face this, so can I. We need volunteers from each engineering specialty. 4 should be sufficient. 3 more aliens stepped forward. A Quellan engineer, a Vraxian specialist, a Drexel systems expert. They gathered in a circle around Kes. You must understand, Kes said, her form pulsing with solemn purple light. Once connected, you cannot hide. Every memory, every thought, every fear will be shared. Some species have tried this and gone mad from the intimacy. Are you certain? Yes, Jiwoo said. The others echoed her agreement. Kes expanded her gaseous form, enveloping all of them in a cloud of colored light. Jiwoo felt a strange tingling sensation, like electricity running across her skin. Then the world shifted. Suddenly she could feel Ven's thoughts beside her own. His worry for her safety, his pride in her courage, his fear that they would fail. And deeper, memories of his childhood on a distant world, learning engineering from his parent cluster. She could feel Captain Moreth's ancient mind, layered with centuries of experience and command. The weight of responsibility the captain carried, the secret affection she held for her crew. She could feel the other engineers, their different ways of thinking, their unique perspectives on problems and solutions, and they could all feel her. Her guilt about the deception, her fear that she wasn't good enough, her desperate hope that she could prove human value to the galaxy. But most importantly, they could see the ship's systems as one unified whole. Every failing component, every stress connection, every vulnerable point. There, Jiwoo's thought echoed through the shared consciousness. The sabotage pattern is visible now. They all saw it simultaneously. 7 systems failing, but not randomly. The pattern formed a shape, a signature. Someone with deep knowledge of Threxian technology had designed this attack. Ambassador Corvin, Captain Morith's thought was heavy with betrayal. He has been vocal against human inclusion. This is his attempt to prove we were wrong. We can stop him, Ven's thought carried determination. We see the pattern. We can work simultaneously on all failing systems. What happened next would have been impossible to explain to someone outside the consciousness connection. 5 minds worked as one, directing multiple repair teams across the ship. Jiwoo's human intuition guided the improvisation. Ven's Quellan rhythm coordinated the timing. Captain Morith's Vraxian stability anchored the effort. The other engineers contributed their own unique strengths. They worked for hours, though time felt different in the shared consciousness. Systems stabilized one by one. The sabotage was undone not by overpowering it, but by understanding its pattern and flowing around it like water around stone. Finally, with the last system restored, Kess withdrew her consciousness cloud. The connection broke. Jiwoo fell to her knees, gasping. The sudden return to individual thought felt lonely and small. That was incredible, Ven said, his skin cycling through amazed rainbow colors. I have never experienced anything like it. Nor have I, Captain Morith admitted. And I am 300 years old. Security officers brought Ambassador Corvin before them. The Threxian scales were dark with shame. I was trying to protect the galaxy from human contamination. They are primitive, dangerous, unpredictable. They are adaptable, brave, and innovative, Captain Morith corrected. Jiwoo Kim just helped save this ship for the second time. She volunteered to face something that terrified her. She opened her mind completely, risking madness to save beings from 47 different worlds. That is not weakness. That is strength. She cheated to get here. She found a way when the system failed her sister. Humans do not give up easily. They find solutions where others see only barriers. The captain turned to her security team. Take him to confinement. The council will decide his fate. As the ambassador was led away, Jiwoo finally stood up. Her legs felt shaky. Her mind felt strange, expanded somehow as if it had been stretched and couldn't quite return to its original shape. Tae Yang rushed over to hug her. You did it again. You impossible, crazy, wonderful human. Over the next few days, word of what happened spread throughout the galactic community. The consciousness connection had been recorded by Kess with permission from all participants. Beings from hundreds of worlds watched the moment when 5 different species worked as one mind. Guided largely by human intuition and courage, the council convened again, this time not to judge but to acknowledge. Council member Thek spoke for them all. We have witnessed something unprecedented. Not only did a human help save a ship twice, but she demonstrated a capacity for cross-species cooperation that exceeds our own abilities. The human willingness to be vulnerable, to trust completely, to risk personal harm for the greater good. These are qualities we had not fully appreciated. The Council voted to grant Earth full membership status. More significantly, they restructured the entire cultural exchange program. Academic credentials would still matter, but so would practical skills, life experience, and demonstrated adaptability. The lottery system was replaced with a comprehensive evaluation that judged people for what